Welcome to the Welsh Yogi Podcast.
Hi Chris, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Welsh Yogi Podcast. We're going to continue with Nectar instruction.
Text 2.
So we've got Gopal and Bhakta-rupa, as usual. And we're going to start with text 2, eh?
Yeah.
How are you feeling today, love?
Feel fine.
Bhakta-rupa's a bit sensitive today, everyone.
Am I? Yeah, a bit.
You are a bit, anyway.
Just on edge. Anyway, we'll get into it.
Yeah. I feel okay today. Yesterday was a down day for me. But it's life, innit?
Yeah.
Text 2.
We shouldn't get too carried away with the ups and downs.
Exactly. Marcia Sparshas are going to get serious. Happiness and distress. And there's nothing better than to read Nectar instruction with my best buddy, Bhakta-rupa.
No.
Hey?
No.
Alright, here's the Sanskrit. Text 2. Atyahara prayasis cha pajalpo niyamagraha jana sangas chalolyam cha sanbir bhaktir vinishyati. So text 1 was about controlling the senses to become a bona fide spiritual practitioner and teacher to others. And now text 2 is given a list of 6 things that can spoil one's spiritual life. Right? Do you want to read it back to you?
Yeah. One's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in the following 6 activities. Number 1, eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than are required. Number 2, over-endeavouring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain. 3, talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters. 4, practicing the scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them, and not for the sake of spiritual advancement, or rejecting the rules and regulations of the scriptures and working independently or whimsically. 5, associating with worldly-minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness. And 6, being greedy for mundane achievements.
So there's a lot to unpack there. So we're going to read the purport again like we did last time and then go through it?
Yeah, if you want to.
I think so, yeah. Because the purport is quite long for the first couple of texts and they get shorter. So.
Oh yeah, this purport is like half an hour to read all the way through.
Okay. So starting this, maybe go by point, we can unpack it, is it?
Yeah.
Human life is meant for plain living and high thinking.
Lovely. I just spoke one thing. I always notice that Prabhupada, he tends to open a purport with like a sutra or like a one-liner, and he closes a purport with a one-liner as well.
Well, even just, I remember, Radikesh Prabhu used one time was saying like sometimes he just likes to read, like, because also Prabhupada's books, like they are in like little sentences like that.
Yeah.
So he'll be like, he'll go through a sentence, just pick a random sentence, and living entities constitute the marginal potency, and they are situated between the internal and external potencies. And he was saying they're just like
think about
facts, little facts that you could just unpack and
it makes sense because the way we would write the books is he'd record little sentences like click, say a sentence, click. So yeah, it is like a little thought in itself. So yeah, human life is meant for plain living and high thinking.
And that's also a phrase that Srila Prabhupada, I know we're getting hung up with it, we used to coin a lot, and it's from a poem. And I can't, maybe another time I'll find the poem and read it. But it's because he studied in a Scottish school in India. At least the teachers were like Scottish, and he used to study a lot of like literature from like UK, and one of the poems was involved something like it coined this phrase, high simple living and high thinking. And obviously that seemed to Prabhupada seemed to like that. It's something human life, I mean that's just one sentence, but think about it. Human life is meant for plain living and high thinking.
It's very confident as well. Like the idea, human life is meant for this. Like most people are asking that question. Like, what's the meaning of life?
Yeah, and also not just any life, human life.
Yeah.
Like what's a human like?
Yeah.
I'm a human. I'm different to a dog. So a human life, plain living, and high thinking.
Plain living. What does plain living mean?
Like simple living, isn't
just
it?
Simplicity, yeah.
Like when we went to New Raj Dam, I think it's the biggest self-sufficient farm community in Europe. I know, but it's got Hare Krishna's, Bhakti Yoga's devotees live there, and we go there for a festival, and we're like, wow, this is amazing. This is like, simple living and high thinking. This is how people should live. But to actually live there is really difficult because we're so used to not, like Shiva Maharaj was saying, we're so used to just going into a room and just flicking a switch and the light turns on, or like, putting the tap and there's hot water. But that's not, people have only lived like that for maybe the last 100 years or something. Not like, oh, it's dark, I gotta look for the candle, and or get water from the well. And actually most of us this generation, we find it so difficult to live like that. So plain living is such a difficult but then a rewarding lifestyle.
Yeah, and it seems like in this modern society to live like a plain life is hard. You're just automatically entangled in complications by, say, you live in
things are so artificially complicated.
Yeah, like you have to pay for council tax, and you have to pay for the electricity, and you've got to pay for this and pay for that, and then to pay for that you need to have a job. Yeah. And then to do the job, there's some complicated. It's a lot of complications that you get entangled with just to live. So you got your phone, and then you got your phone bill that comes out every month, and you get it. Yeah, I just signed up for broadband in the house, and the lady's like, "Oh, would you like Sky TV? It comes with a Netflix subscription." And I was like, "Oh, I don't watch TV. I don't have a TV." And she was like, "What?" She's like, completely, "You don't have a television?" And I was like, even that is like a weird thing.
Yeah, and also it's interesting as well how the plain living supports the high thinking. How complicated living supports low thinking. Definitely. And if anything, the more complicated you try and make your life is so that you don't have to think at all, let alone high thinking. Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, I noticed that, we just had David Key here for like a week, and she doesn't have a mobile phone at all. And I was just like, the way that she's interacting, she hasn't been like, because me, I get influenced by the social media and the YouTube and Instagram. She hasn't got, and that's not even on her radar. And you can see that there's like a peacefulness in her mind because of the, she's not agitated by that, because that's very complicated. All of the little. If I have any spare time now, I'll just naturally just pick up my phone from my pocket and I'll look at it. And like, okay, what's that? And there's always loads of stimulation you have all these messages. We've increased to such a degree of being able to communicate with each other, but the quality of communication is so low that people's standard of living hasn't increased. I remember thinking like, if I didn't have this phone, I would think. If people when you're walking down the street, like people wouldn't be like on their phones or anything. Like people used to like walk down and actually, I'd be like, I'd think about things. It does sound wonderful when you put it like that. I'm just saying, I'm so plugged in, and so most of But why is it so hard to put it down? Like, I think because it's so easy to distract our mind, and it's the quick hit. You're just looking for that, because this is what I was thinking. Like, a lot of us, we're doing these harmful habits to kind of soothe ourselves, because we feel some kind of internal turbulence, so we have to soothe ourselves. Like, a lot of these things that we're talking about in this verse, eating more than you need, is to make yourself feel better. You know what I mean? Over endeavoring for things. Like, all of these things are like methods that you use to soothe yourself, which aren't Krishna consciousness. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about one of the austerities of the mind is simplicity, right? Satisfaction, that's it. Yeah. So the mind is naturally always disturbed. It's always disturbed, but to actually be satisfied is an austerity for the mind. So to actually not have something that's constantly occupying your attention, but to sit down and actually like feel satisfaction, that's austere for the mind. But like Prabhupada says, we could train your mind to be satisfied. It means to detach it from immediate sense gratification, and one of the best ways to do that is to try and train the mind to always thinking of doing good for others. It's easier said than done again, though, isn't it? Like, yeah, but it's, so you mean like doing good for others in terms of Krishna consciousness, or even just materially doing good for others, like trying to help someone out? Yeah, whatever's good. Yeah. How can I help someone? That's... Take the focus off yourself and think about helping someone else.
that type of thing.
Yeah, and because that detaches it from sense gratification. So if you're thinking about how can I be happy or naturally making plans in that regard, then you'll naturally become disturbed. But if you think of actually doing good for others and making plans to help someone else, then that makes the mind detach from sense gratification, detach from selfishness, basically, and makes us start to become peaceful.
I do feel that as well. Like when you are when you're focusing on your problems and the things that you need to solve, and you know, it can easily become. It can be a big distraction. Whereas, like in the part, if you think about, okay, how can I serve? How can I be a servant? How can I help someone out? You feel peaceful.
Yeah, that's your main focus. I was listening to something the other day when I think it was Vaisheshika Prabhu. He was saying that even if that's your main focus to help others, because he was saying, you know, he had a friend in paramedic school who said, you know, a dead paramedic can't save anyone. So the first thing they learn if you're going to help someone is make sure you don't put yourself in danger. So he said this mantra that he said, I will look after myself for you if you look after yourself for me. So it's almost even like turning self-care, but seeing it in the parameters of like making sure you're a good tool in order to, you know,
makes a lot of sense.
Do good in the world.
Yeah. So
you've done one sentence.
Human life is meant for plain living and high thinking. What does high thinking mean then?
I mean, it seems like yes into talking about the different Shaktis and stuff in a second, but high thinking, I'd say, you know, means, I mean, how high can you think? So it says just like a bird can fly in the sky as high as it can according to its own ability. So how high can a living being think? And from spirit, like, you know, like
what's it? Glaciers. You're thinking like that?
I'm thinking in terms of like, okay, how contracted can your consciousness be? So like an animal is just thinking about, oh, I just got to eat and sleep, mate and defend just for myself. Yeah, you have anomoi, which is just like that. Gyanamoi is, okay, oh wait a minute, there's another world here, or there's like a pack of animals. Maybe if we work together and create some sort of society, that will be able to increase my own selfish enjoyment. And if you go beyond that, it's like, well, wait a minute, now I'm alive. There's a reason I'm alive here. Is there a deeper meaning to something? And more than that, it's okay. Yeah, I'm a conscious living entity. I'm above this body, and you just expand this train of thought till eventually it's where you're including God, the source of everything, and how everything comes from God, and what's my position in that, and then you're seeing all of yourself in perspective and in relationship to all of reality, and that would be like, how much higher can you get?
Yeah.
But then you get into Krishna, who is this, you know, and his infinite, the infinite deep ocean of all his beautiful qualities, and then you just get your mind and heart gets submerged in that, and you just get tossed by different currents and waves of ecstasy, thinking about the unlimited beautiful qualities of Krishna, I guess.
Yeah, it's nice. It's interesting though, like when you are in that doom scroll phone, that's very low thinking, isn't it? Like even the posture, you're like kind of curled up, low. But like I find that when you read Prabhupada's books, they give you the ability to think way higher than you're qualified to think. It's like he's just lifting your head up, like every time. Like, so it's very important to keep coming back to them, to the books. You
know, they say that about any book, even.
Really?
I remember Vaisheshika was saying, like, even if someone's written any book, like the psychology is, okay, you know, I might turn on a little video on my social media or something and someone's just decided to post something, but for someone to take time to write down their ideas in a book, you know, means like, okay, I'm getting something that's valuable here. You know, this is the best of the person, and he's decided to put it down in this book, which is why, like, there's actually a worldwide paper shortage at the minute. One of the reasons is because there's so much paper being used for like Amazon packaging and stuff. But another big reason was when Kindles started to come out. Everyone thought, okay, this is the future now. All books are going to be electronic. So a lot of the paper mills around the world closed down. But very quickly, I think only maybe for a couple of years, was the electronic books at the top of the book sales. But then paper books came back up real quick. And now the paper mills can't keep up with the demand. So there's a deep need for human beings to actually have like a book in their hand.
There's a lot of power to a book. Like this is like I went into the bookshop the other day and I was like thinking like I want to get a book to help me kind of situate myself better materially. You know what I mean? Like earn money or something like that. And it's like by going and purchasing a book, it's like you've made a commitment to try and improve yourself. I bought a book called, I think, The Diary of a CEO, and then there was another one called the something like The Art of Rituals, and it was to do with like daily rituals and habits. But I bought the books because I was like, okay, you know what I mean? It's like kind of like, it's an intention. Just having a physical book. I haven't read them yet. They're on the shelf. They probably will be forever. But just having the books, you know what I mean? It's and then what to think.
You've
about.
got something, haven't you? You've got something that's like.
Yeah. Forget about like the bag of Vegeta. Like if you get a bag of Vegeta at the right time, and like when I got my bag of Vegeta, it's just like completely change your life. The potency of these Prabhupada's books are just on another.
It says
plane,
to put ideas down in something that can be, and then communicated. I mean, that's how big revolutions have started. Like Srila Prabhupada always talk about the communist revolution was so big in India because they just distribute so much literature. You have, what was the name of the he was in jail and he wrote on the back of like a piece of paper,
Mein Kampf.
Yeah, so I know. No, Mein Kampf is Hitler's biography.
Is that what you're on about?
No, not.
Okay. You wrote that in jail, though.
Hitler?
Hitler wrote Mein Kampf in jail, in prison.
Did Hitler go to jail?
He went to prison.
But he killed himself, didn't he?
No, before he was even Hitler. Well, I think he was always Hitler, but before he was like as big a deal as he was, he went to prison for something. I can't remember what. I'm speculating, but maybe he like dodged the draft or something. Right. Or it was to do with maybe political revolution. I can't remember, my brain's fogged on it, but he wrote Mein Kampf in jail, yeah.
Right.
But who are you on about?
I don't know, you've thrown me now by mentioning Hitler.
Yeah, no, someone wrote something on the back of a cigarette packet or something.
Yeah, but anyways, just like he wrote the. I mean, even the American Revolution was started by just a pamphlet that was distributed around America, and and just like reading something, getting some like, seeds of ideas that then can be shared through writing can really change the world.
You think like because the way that information comes across now, we're bombarded by so much stimulus. It's like words and images and sounds blowing in our face. Does it weaken the message? Like weaken the ability to hear a message? Because to me, like I can scroll for hours and
there's so much noise in there.
Yeah, it's just static. It's just like nothing.
That's what you said earlier. The ease of being able to communicate doesn't necessarily increase the quality of communication.
No. That's what I mean. To read a book, you have to sit down, be peaceful, focus on the words,
and to write a book is much more difficult than. So the quality of ideas must be. They say also in when it comes to because I can't remember where I heard it about preserving literature. So the internet is very good in preserving, because I was speaking to Harry Suri who starts the a whole library in India to preserve ancient Vedic texts, and he was saying the internet is good because it the mass distribution of something generally tries to you're more likely to not lose it. But he's saying about if all the electric goes, or there's a sort of solar flare from the sun or something, then you lost it all. Yeah. So this actually writing things down in books and printing them and distributing them like that is one of the.
Yeah, it's easy to forget that there's a world outside the internet. Like a lot of people, that everything they do, loads of people, they work from home on their computer on the internet. That's their job. They wake up, turn on the computer, log into their account, turn it off at 5, go to the gym. It's a very common lifestyle these days. We've lost touch with physical reality. You know what I mean? And
that's connected with this point 2 in this verse, which we get to, is this over endeavouring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain, or even mundane things that are easy. But it's this idea of over endeavouring. It's like that also connects this plain living, high thinking thing.
Yeah.
It's like how difficult do we have to make our lives in society in order to get back to a life that's actually so satisfying. Because people think, I'll work hard. But if you're a billionaire, what would you do? Just sit by the beach and do nothing.
Yeah.
But
what would you do if you're a millionaire?
or billionaire, you know.
Yeah.
I'd have a swimming pool and a house, and I wouldn't have to work. I'd just do nothing all day. You know?
we know from examples, people who have millions, they want billions, and people who want billions want more billions.
Yeah.
You know, like there's no end to that.
And being greedy for mundane achievements is also a list here in this list of these are things that are just not good for your spiritual life. Because the pivot here is, like Prabhupada just started with this one sentence: human life is for plain living and high thinking.
Yeah.
And that sums up a lot of the items in this verse.
All of them, like talking unnecessary about mundane subject matters. Like if you're on your phone all the time watching rubbish on YouTube, that's prajalpa. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and also it's
and it's Janasanga. You're associating with people who aren't interested in spiritual life, usually on there. No, I don't know. Depends what you follow, I guess, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, you want to associate with people, like you were saying earlier. If you're in a low, you feel low, you're scrolling through your phone, and you feel quite low consciousness, and the things you're witnessing are rarely people that are heightening your consciousness. A lot of the time, it's dragging you down.
Yeah, like when you're in the lower modes, like when you're in ignorance, you're attracted to ignorance, isn't it? Because I found that I've been on the scroll, and then some like Krishna conscious thing comes up, and I'm like, oh, next. Like you just scroll straight past it. It's like there's a repulsion to doing the right thing when you're in the mode of ignorance.
Yeah, it takes, for most of us, it takes effort, isn't it?
You have to choose to. So yeah.
But even a lot of these like comedians and stuff now. I don't know if is it Joe Rogan. He's got like this almost like a
scene. Yeah.
What was it called? Like a rat pack of like comedians and stuff. And they're all, a lot of them are turning off, stopping intoxication, stopping pornography. And one of them was saying something like, I realised that each morning I need to show up for myself.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, that idea of like, okay, I owe it to myself to actually show up for myself, and work on little habits that can actually elevate my life.
Yeah. Because
it's so easy just to get caught in a rut and just to spiral down, and then before you know it, days and weeks and months and years have passed by, and I've wasted my time here.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There is uplifting content out there if you search for it. Like I told you, I've got like a cowboy guru who's just like this. He's like this cowboy guy, and he just talks about being a man and being. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes I listen to like some Christian guy that's just like, get out there and do it. Like God doesn't want you to sit around doing nothing. Like sometimes I just listen to some of this stuff to get me out of the lowest. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
So I guess we've got to try and keep moving. That's the thing. If you keep ultimately higher thinking, like you want to keep it your eyes on the prize. Do you know what I mean? It's really easy to slip though and fall. This material energy's tricky and slippery, and it's one thing when you're kind of in the ashram constantly doing service the whole time, and
there's the benefit of like putting yourself around good association.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why even stuff like even just talking, like doing this podcast helps me, because it's like, okay, it's something positive. And then I listen to things like talks or lectures or kirtans or podcasts about Krishna consciousness. It's like that thing of like, I'm just always, my mind just always goes to my phone or whatever. So if I can trick myself, and if I always plug into something about Krishna, then that always elevates. So you can use this world in trick yourself almost into becoming. And
that's what Prabhupada, he wanted us to inundate the world with Krishna conscious vibration. So like even doing stuff like podcasts, I was speaking to Kaustuba, who does the Wisdom of the Sages podcast, and his vision is that there's thousands of Krishna conscious podcasts out there for different people who like different aspects of Krishna consciousness. Someone might like the history, or someone might like the Sanskrit, or someone might like how to apply it. Some people might just like to have something more relaxing. He's got like a vision for.
I mean, what was it? Was it Bhakti Siddhanta said, we should have a newspaper every day giving spiritual news. And then someone said, I'll give a newspaper every day.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you just run out of stuff? And he's like, well, look, you got a newspaper every day about news just of the local city. So the material, this little city is a tiny part of this country, which country is a tiny part of the world. This world is one planet amongst many planets in this material universe. This material universe is tiny compared to an almost unlimited scatter of material universes that form only one tiny portion of reality, and most of reality is actually made up of the spiritual world. So think how much more actual subject matter there is spiritually than materially. Is
I think, didn't he say you could write a newspaper every minute?
Yeah,
he said something like that. Something like Bhakti Siddhanta though. He's just He's amazing. I was just reading last night the Leelamrita, the mini You're Ever Well Wisher, and it was when Prabhupada first met Bhaktisiddhanta. Prabhupada's spiritual master is Bhaktisiddhanta. Prabhupada's the one who started Krishna consciousness movement. But basically it's like Prabhupada at the time was like a nationalist, so he believed in Gandhi and Indian independence, and he said to Bhaktisiddhanta, like, yo, how can we think about Lord Chaitanya and Krishna consciousness when we're under the rule of the British? We should be like free from the British.
Have India independence first, and then we can
Bhaktisiddhanta was like, no, it cannot wait. Like there's always going to be a situation, there's always going to be some material thing which is unfavourable, but it can't wait. This message is so important, we need to get it out there now. He said, you're intelligent young boys, you should go and spread this around the world, you know. And then when Prabhupada left the meeting, he said, like, in his heart he accepted that that's his spiritual master. And he said, one quote which was nice was that he said that Lord Chaitanya's movements is in very safe hands with Bhaktisiddhanta. Like it's in very good hands, you know. I just thought Bhaktisiddhanta is like powerhouse, you know.
Yeah, it's like the lion guru, they call him. He's so like.
But it's hearing stuff like that gives you perspective, because you can think, okay, what am I going to do with my position? Everyone's got some problem. Like my health, my family, my
that point.
home.
Don't wait for anything. Just have you seen that film? What was that film when he has like a little has a remote control and forward? Did I talk about this last? What's the name of that famous actor that's always in funny films?
Ben Stiller.
No, this is what I mean. He had a remote control and you thought
Switch is it called? Where's Garango when you need him?
Yeah.
Well, it rewinds time and.
He had a remote control that forwards time.
Yeah, it's called Switch.
Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler, yeah. I've seen this film. Yeah.
Click or something like that.
Click, yeah, and he fast forwards to the end of his life or something.
Because he'd be like, I don't want to do this, and fast forward to there, and he keeps fast forwarding to all the bits he thinks he'd like, but actually life is what happens in between. You know, so then he ends up forwarding to basically when he dies, and he realises, I've actually missed all of life. Yeah. So if you keep waiting for certain things that might never happen, then you're cheating yourself out of all these opportunities.
Yeah, like today is the best day to practice Krishna consciousness right now, you know. Like you just pick up your beads and chant. You haven't chanted in a week, you know what I mean, and you've been wanting to chant, and you know you should chant. Just pick up the beads now. Just chant.
Yeah, what are you doing listening to this podcast?
Yeah, what the hell?
Turn off.
Literally just chant. It's simple as that. Like as time is ticking, you can't buy back 1 second of time. You can't.
Yeah, just chant a mantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Didn't you know that human life is meant for
simple living and high thinking?
Plain living and high thinking.
I'm glad you got that sentence down in back. Should we read a bit more? What time is it?
No, this is the one sentence podcast.
Is it?
Definitely. We could do a podcast on every word.
Yeah.
Every individual word.
You could actually. Human. That's the first one.
What's a human?
What
is it actually though? Human, because there's a certain definition of human, isn't there? Because you hear in Prabhupada's books, two-legged animals is what most people who think.
So a human. Yeah, Vedically, a human isn't just if you've got one head and 2 arms and 2 legs. That doesn't make you a human. Vedically.
No.
A human being is someone who's actually civilized and following progressive life in order to elevate their consciousness. If you're in a human body but you're living like an animal, so you just focus on just eating and sleeping, even if it's in a really polished way. So the dogs run around on 4 legs, you run around on 4 wheels. Dogs have sex in the alley, you have sex in a hotel. Still doesn't make there's no actual increase in quality of life. So even if you're in a human body and living like that, you're still an animal.
I remember Dave Mrimash gave a class when he was here about that, isn't it? From the Prahlad Maharaj. Like he's saying there's actually no difference between what you're tasting and what, like when a pig is like scoffing on some poop. Yeah. He's getting that flavour, he's just like, yes.
So what is it, drinking out of a copper glass or a gold glass? A gold cup or a copper cup. Then what you're drinking is still the same. Yeah. It's just so you could be in one body. So they say like the pleasure of sex life, for example, is the same in a dog's as a human. The actual pleasure, and you've got like pigeons who can have sex loads of times within like 100 times in a few minutes or something like that.
They can do it like crazy.
Is it?
Yeah. Just if you want to know about it,
Yeah.
just go to Atma and sit in the window seat.
Yeah.
There's an ocean of pigeons.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, so that's a little plug for Atma there.
if you want to watch
If you want to watch all the pigeons have sex, there's a nice,
it's a
there's a nice chair in Atma. Like Rupert's done here.
all the boys have done it.
Yeah. Get to know,
Get to know the
learn a few things.
a
Like,
few moves like from the pigeons.
get off your TV and off your Netflix. Get down to Atma and watch the pigeons. Like,
Anyway, yeah, stop messing around. Go chant your rounds. We're gonna go now.
Okay,
we're gonna
thank you, everyone.
jiu-jitsu, innit? Anyway,
yeah, we got Hare Krishna. Speak to you all soon.
Love you.
Shikshana Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-rupa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-rupa Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-rupa Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-rupa Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-rupa Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-rupa Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare